Where do you think Mike Vrabel ends up? Is it New England?
I would, if I'm Vrabel, there are two teams I'm staring at that I'd be very interested in. Number one is the Patriots, but that's something I don't think he's even going to talk about. And I think he has too much respect for Belichick, too much respect for Robert Kraft. That, if people are texting him saying, "Hey, are you going to go to New England?" He's not even going to answer them until that situation resolves itself. But I do think this actually puts the ball more in Robert Kraft's court, because say he was starting to lean toward, say he was 40-60 for keeping Belichick. And then, you talk to him on Monday. They had that meeting. We don't know what happened. And Belichick says, "Hey, what if I bring back Josh McDaniels?" We saw that report. And what if I do this, this, and this? And now now Kraft is 50-50. Well, now Vrabel's out there, and I think he is a very logical replacement. He knows the Patriot way. He's almost he runs the same philosophy as Belichick in the sense that defensive football, physical football. I think Vrabel makes a lot of sense in New England, and I also think the Chargers would make a ton of sense because Vrabel has never had a franchise quarterback, and I think he could instantly make that defense better. You put him in LA, and Justin Herbert actually has a good defense. And yeah, the negative $70 or $80 million cap space, not ideal. But I think if I'm Vrabel, those would be my two choices.
What about Atlanta for Vrabel?
Ooh.
We talked about that a little bit yesterday, and I threw out that I didn't know if he would. I mean, he and Arthur Smith are boys. It's easier when the issue with the Belichick thing in New England is like, if Belichick gets fired and then you get traded there, you're like, what do you want me to say? I didn't do anything. Now, again, Vrabel got fired, so it's not like he got fired. He's like, give me the Patriots job. Suck it, Bill. Bill, the Patriots are, by all accounts, likely ready to move on. It's the Atlanta thing, too. I think he would be replacing Arthur Smith, who is his boy, and you're probably not going to bring him in as an offensive coordinator, I would guess. He could take Arthur Smith to Los Angeles, too, by the way.
Or the Titans could hire Arthur Smith as their head coach.
No, that would be something, wouldn't it?
It'd be wild.
But if he goes to, like Atlanta, the only issue you have is would he win in Atlanta? Would you, if you're Atlanta, do you want to hire the guy who basically caused you to hire Arthur Smith? You know what I mean?
If I'm Arthur Blank, again, I just want to win. And if I think Vrabel's the best coach on the market, I'm hiring him. And right now,
Vrabel is the best coach on the market right now.
Unless you throw in a Jim Harbaugh, unless you are going.
Jim Harbaugh and Belichick are not on the market right now. Okay, so now, Mike Vrabel is the best coach on the market. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're Atlanta and you think you can get a quarterback like a Jaden Daniels at 7, or that you can trade up and maybe like Drake May, maybe you like, Caleb Williams probably not going to fall. You'd have to give up a ton. But if you feel like you can get a quarterback in there for him, and he would probably be, I would guess that Vrabel, if he went to Atlanta, would want to bring Tannehill as a backup. Right? I mean, like you draft a guy and you bring Tannehill maybe as a backup, or say Tannehill, you're going to be the starter while we bring this guy along. I think it's entirely possible that the Falcons could be good.
Yeah,
Vrabel, they would be my pick to win the NFC South if Vrabel was coaching that team next year.
If they could get a quarterback in there, they could put almost any coach in there and win the NFC South. But you throw in Vrabel, and that makes them an even better candidate. I think the crazy wild card candidate is, could you imagine Raiders minority owner Tom Brady calling up his old teammate, Mike Vrabel?
Oh, spicy.
Saying, "Hey, Mike, we got a spot out here for you if you want it." And I don't think Brady's been officially approved, but that's still lingering. He's still kind of with the Raiders, and he is an ex-teammate of Vrabel's.
Okay. All right. So Mike Vrabel, plenty of options. You could see him fitting in almost any of the available spots. Don't see it working in Carolina. Man, David Tepper's really painting himself in a corner. Let's take a break.
Let me throw Vrabel real quick. I just want to point out what he did. This is a guy who led the Titans to the AFC title game in 2019, had a double-digit lead on the Chiefs in that game before Kansas City came back and won. With Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback, he led the Titans to the #1 seed in 2021, and then lost a 3-point game to the Bengals that they only lost because Ryan Tannehill threw 3 interceptions. I mean, with that roster, they were the best team, the best seed in the AFC in 2021, which blows my mind. It is just crazy. Went to the playoffs 3 times. And even last year, 7-10. They were 7-3 at one point before Tannehill started dealing with his injuries and the season kind of fell apart. So I don't think he really had an ugly span, even though we just did mention struggling in those 24 games. But man, Vrabel crushed it in Tennessee. It's not an easy place to win. I think he'll crush it wherever he goes next.
Yeah, 9-7, 9-7, 11-5, 12-5. His first 4 years with the Titans. John Robinson, the GM, trades away A.J. Brown after that season. I mean, they had Treylon Burks was their number 1 wide receiver in 2022, and they brought in Julio Jones. That didn't work out. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins in 2023. Like, the A.J. Brown trade really, really hurt that franchise in terms of their offense. And let's not forget, 2 of his offensive coordinators, Matt LaFleur and Arthur Smith, went on to get head coaching jobs. So you've seen a lot of attrition in terms of, yeah, and I think some of the first round picks, like Caleb Farley, they've had a bunch of guys like John Robinson reach for guys because of injury. You know, the Jeffrey Simmons thing worked out really well because he fell to them. But then it feels like if you gave Vrabel a good roster, like, and a good quarterback, he could do some damage.
Absolutely.